What time is it?
It doesn't matter.
8:35? Okay. Top 5 ways we can be bought down.
Yours.
Am I thinking?
Yeah.
Your opinion.
That something that Newt said to me many, many times, and he said publicly, we're Americans. I was thrilled with one of my students who became an American citizen several months back. And his family were refugees from Burma. They're Americans, German, Irish. I mean, we could run down the whole list. So being an American, whether we came through Ellis Island, whether we came in chains, whether we were here 10,000 years ago, we're Americans. What bonds us together? It's not our race, not a national concept. What bonds us together is the Constitution of the United States of America. That is what we are. We do not hold allegiance to a king,
Nope.
a president, or an alleged president. We... Don't erase that. We hold our allegiance to the Constitution. And Newt said, all you need to do is have an education system that disconnects our children from the Constitution for one generation, and you've lost America. And we're watching it. We have a whole generation. I teach at a small Christian college. The demographics of my students, who are great, I love Montreat. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. But most of them are small town, Southern Christian. And you would think, therefore, a higher percentage would be educated on certain things. And yet on the first day of class, I say, how many of you have actually read the Declaration and the Constitution? Maybe 1 out of 5 puts up their hands. In fact, my American history class is essentially a remedial class, which once upon a time used to be taught in 8th or 9th grade.
Right.
Think about it. When many of us, I'm not that old yet, Robin, that's what we learned in 8th or 9th grade. I now have to teach that at the college level. So that's number one. Disconnect us from the Constitution, and as a result, you have an uneducated electorate who can put some real fools in there. Item number 2 would be global financial collapse. And Robin's an accountant, and we talk about this all the time. Our financial system has become highly unstable. And if that house of cards starts to collapse, it's going to be really bad. Very, very quick. Third would be terrorist strikes, such as ISIS, because the tendency, as somebody in the White House once said about taking advantage of a catastrophe or disaster, would be an overreach of, oh, for your safety and security, because these schools have been hit and there's been these hits along the highway, we're going to create a whole new department of ultra homeland security, and we got to make sure the rest of you are not armed. And then we lose it that way. Fourth, what is happening in Europe at this very minute is a picture of the future. And as the gentleman up here before me said, we have to wake up. And it's not just me. You know, Newt said this 15 years ago. I currently teach a course that we've renamed the 30 Years' War. Okay, that class used to be 2 classes. It was a course on World War II and a class on World War I. We've compressed them together this year because of scheduling, and we simply call it the 20th century, the 30 Years' War, 1914, 1945. When are we going to wake up to the fact we're in a 100 Years' War? In fact, we've been in a 1,400-year war. Islam is bent on the destruction of the Judeo-Christian world, and we better wake up to it. Read the hadiths. I'm serious. Take a little time and just simply go online and type in hadiths. Start reading, because it is very, very clear what the goal is. Now, we hear all the time, most Muslims are moderate. I would define most of them as actually non-practicing. If you take what 10% of the world of Islam, that's still 150 million people. who are bent on our destruction. Let me recommend, highly recommend, read March, it was Atlantic Monthly, wasn't it? Yeah. Atlantic Monthly, please put this in your must-read list. You can get it online. Atlantic Monthly, it just simply says, what does ISIS want? You'll come away from that article shaken. And remember, Atlantic Monthly, it's not like you're reading this in some conservative blog site. It is definitely a left-of-center magazine, but it is a brilliant, I was so stunned by the source of the article, but also the research of the scholar who wrote it. What does ISIS want? Those are my major concerns. And also, I would add in, the complete political correctness takeover of our military is something else that scares the heck out of me. Because that's our front line of defense, where it becomes more important to be trained in political correctness than in how to actually fight an enemy and win.